Hello, everyone. Well, today I'm starting the call alone since Federico is not here. He is on the UK tour that Kleros has been organizing. He's also with William and JB. They are doing some presentations on different universities in the UK. The first one was a kind of an internal class, let's say, with the students from the King's College in London. Then the second one was a presentation in Oxford at the Keble College. The third one today was in Edinburgh on the University of well, I don't have the details here, but one university in Edinburgh, and these three talks, they were all related to how Kleros interacts with in artificial intelligence, how the mechanism design that we are using and studying is affected, or how it can integrate these new technologies into dispute resolution. So if you have been following Kleros, you know that we have a yellow paper, and the yellow paper mentions a couple of voting mechanisms and types of voting that can be applied to Kleros, and all of these incentive mechanisms, we're now thinking how to design them to integrate AI, basically. And we're also doing some research on how the AI would have voted on cases that we already used. So William had some interesting findings about that. We started doing some research with the curation cases, and then for the next round, William did a research on how AI would have resolved the lemon cases, and trying to find out if the different models agree with each other at a similar rate or at a different rate, or if they agree or disagree with the humans, and all of that. And think on, and of course, the next question is how to adopt that into Kleros, or what can we do with this, basically. So yeah, it's very interesting talks. I think that the one that was made today was recorded, so I'm very curious to listen to it, because this is something that I think it's very promising. And well, talking about research, we have today, let me try to pronounce it properly, but Günter Schramm, he was a fellow at the Kleros Fellowship. He did his research about the use of Kleros in real estate transactions. Hey, Günter,
Hi, Jan.
how are you doing?
Very good, and you? Thank you very much for the introduction and for your time for this video call.
Great to have you here. We started to do some interviews with previous Kleros fellows. It's last week we had Alessia that did her PhD about Kleros, and well, first let us know a little bit about you. So we were discussing before, you are from Argentina, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I also formed the batch with Alesia, so I also read
Okay.
her job investigation, which it was very interesting. I'm also very thankful for Kleros for the opportunity for the fellowship. It was really interesting, all the co-working, how we discussed also in the video meetings that we had. It was during 2024 and beginning of 2025, if I don't remember wrong. And it was a really interesting experience and very helpful. As you will point it out, I was born in Argentina. That's why I'm drinking mate. But I have been living in multiple countries. I was raised in Spain, I'm half German, so I have lived also and worked in Germany. So as you, Jan, also I have like a very international family and very international work. But now I'm based in Malaga, in south of Spain, and I'm a lawyer here, registered in the Bar Association from Malaga.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, can you tell a little bit of how did you get into this research? Are you related to the real estate industry, or was that like a part of your studies, or?
Well, my journey with blockchain technology and with Kleros started back in 2018. I will say when I was nearly finalizing my studies in law in Argentina back then in the Catholic University from Cordoba, and when I had only one or two exams left. I got into a blog from Federico Ast where it said that how will be the lawyers from the future will be. Are there like any lawyers going to be involved in the future? And I was like shocked. I was like, I'm nearly finishing a study career from 6 years, and now you're telling me that the lawyers, we are not going to be useful. I was shocked. So I did his course in Coursera about the future of law and lawyers, which it was shocking, because since then I have been trying to. I don't consider myself as an expert in blockchain. It's more like a hobby that I have. I like to do research. So as soon as I saw the program from the Kleros Fellowship, I was like, okay, I need to see how can I relate my work experience and expertise with this technology. And that's what it was the goal that I did this research. For the last 5 years, I have been... Previously, I worked in Germany, but for the last 5 years, I have been working as a lawyer here in Malaga. And because of the Costa del Sol, it's a booming. The construction industry is booming. It's very important here, the real estate industry. So as I speak also English and German and Spanish, and I'm registered here as a lawyer, a lot of clients for myself, they are foreigners, they are internationals. And that's why I'm really into real estate procedures. So that's why when I saw this fellowship program, I spoke with Federico and with Facundo Trust also, and they explained me about the Kleros Escrow product. So that's why in my investigation I related like with two models, which will be like the best case scenario to introduce Kleros and the blockchain technology nowadays in the real estate transactions in Spain, which I believe it's really needed, because I'm going to give an example, a practice example that it happened to me last month.
Yes, tell us about it. I know that, for example, in Argentina, this is also a very complex topic. There are lots of different, let's say, things that are not people doing things that are maybe not as official as it should be, and lots of difficulties with currency controls and all of that, right? So I suppose that Malaga also has lots of capital from outside the country, right?
Yes, absolutely. I will say that maybe 90% of my clients, they are international, they are foreigners. So this means that, as you will mention, a lot of currencies are involved, a lot of international payments are involved. We are talking about big amounts, because when buying a property, the amounts are not going to be minimum. So that's why we need to introduce to these procedures more efficient, more transparent, more honest procedure, which I will explain. If you agree, I can shortly explain how the process is here to buy a property in Spain, because I want just to mention, like, even if in the practice we know each other a lot, like all the agencies, the other lawyers, Malaga is not that big yet. It's growing, and it's going to be a huge city, as it's already Barcelona, Valencia, or Madrid. But nowadays we still know each other a lot. But still, it's mandatory that if we need to prepare to the future, maybe it's not going to be something that the technology just changes now instantly. So that's also something that we spoke with Federico and with Robert Dean. But in the near future and in the mid future, this technology is going to be more involved, as, for example, now the EA is already changing our lives. So basically, when you are buying a property in Spain, there are three steps. The first steps are the reservation contract, the private purchase contract, and the public title deed. The first three steps we are talking about, which is a really private involvement between the two parties. This means that usually there are no lawyers involved, no notaries involved, and it's just between usually the agency and the buyer, or the agency and the seller. So this means that in most of the cases, if there is no lawyer involved, the contracts are really done only by the agencies, which I don't have anything against agencies, but they don't have like the legal acknowledgement that is necessary for these kind of transactions. They have a lot of expertise about how to deal with the real estate transaction, of course. But when I always say, like, when buying a property, everyone is friend of each other, and everything is smiles and happiness until the money is involved and there is a problem. When there is a problem, and everyone goes crazy, and we are all enemies, and we just go all to the contracts. Okay, what was the contract was saying? And most of the times, the contracts, unfortunately, they are not very well written, especially nowadays that the clients, they are using a lot of AI. For example, I have in our law firm, they come, the client, and they go like, yeah, this is the contract. And when I read the contract, I'm going like, this is a mess. Like, I don't know how to defend this in the court. So same bit, after saying this, that's why it's so important that we really need to introduce a technology that can bring transparency and trustful system for both parties when there is like the private parties involved. When there is, for the third step, the notary involved, the public title deed, the due diligence has already been carried out, even by the lawyer, if there's a lawyer, or by the parties, or by even the notary. Otherwise, the land registry will reject the title deed. So my proposal with this research was to include two models. The first one, it's a P2P model, which it will be directly between the parties, the buyer and the seller. If they have like the technology acknowledgement about blockchain, for example, about Kleros Escrow, if they're familiar with dealing with cryptocurrencies, smart contracts, they will know each other what we are talking about. So why is this model important? I will clarify it now in a few moments. And the second model is when there is a law firm involved, that the law firm makes a written agreement besides the smart contract. So both contracts, the smart one and the written contract, are going to be deposited in the Kleros Escrow platform. And in the case that everything goes smooth, the funds are going to be released as soon as both parties agree. If there is any controversial or any dispute, the jurors for the Kleros platform, they're going to be acting, and then the funds are going to be released to the party that has the right. It's going to be more clearful now if I explain. For example, I had a client last month that he was buying a property of 305,000 euros. As mentioned, in the reservation contract, usually 6,000 euros are paid or to the agency or to the seller or to the lawyer, to the law firm. If in the most of the cases, this amount is paid to the law firm or to the agency, usually there's no problem, because as we work daily with these cases, we know that if we don't give that money back, we are in trouble, and our jobs, our companies are in trouble. But what happens, for example, when the amount goes to the seller, which is a private person, and it's especially an old person that is not used for these cases, and they say like, oh no, I just want to withhold this amount because the property was off the market 1 month, and now I want to claim damages to the buying party because they are not buying me the property. Okay, we need to see what the contract says. In this case, for example, my client, he made the deposit to the agency. So in theory, everything was correct. What happened here? He hired me after signing the reservation contract. So that was a contract that it wasn't supervised by myself. So when I saw the contract, I was like, okay, the contract is not really clear, but there is a small phrase that says, if the mortgage is not granted, this deposit of 6,000 euros must be returned to the buyer. And I was like, calm. I told to the client, okay, with this phrase, you are protected. What happened afterwards? banks are really slowly. The mortgage procedure we had a once-month period for this mortgage, and before signing the private purchase contract, the second step, the mortgage was not coming through. So I explained this to the client and to the representative agency of the sellers. Like, look, I will need more time because I'm still doing the due diligence and because the mortgage bank is not granting the mortgage yet. And they were like, okay, no problem. What was the problem here? That the funds, the 6,000 euros, it was in the power of the second agency involved, which it's funny to say, but it was the agency of the buyer. So in theory, they have to protect the buyer's interest. When I asked them the money, they were like, okay, no problem. We are going to give the money back. 1 week gone by, the money wasn't released. 2 weeks gone by, the money was still not released. And my client, he trusts me, and he was like calm because he said like, okay, my lawyer is in charge. But at one point I was like a little bit nervous because the agency telling me like, yeah, we're going to release the funds. But at the same time, I was thinking, okay, 2 weeks has gone by. You haven't released the funds. I'm going to start a legal claim in the court against you because I a burofax and a letter like, look, if you don't release the funds immediately, because we need to make the payment to the other agency, we will need to start the legal procedure. So going back to my investigation, if the funds, for example, they will be deposited in the Kleros Escrow product, it will be instantly refunded to my client. And we didn't need to wait for the agency to release the fund. So this is like a practical example of how this investigation and the Kleros product can help us in the daily practice of the real estate transactions.
That's great. Thanks for the example. And let's say if you had to enter like a legal claim with the agency, do you think like what would be the costs for that, or what would be the timeline for that? Because I think this is one of the another points, right, for using the escrow.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question, John, because nowadays I also explain it in my investigation. Since last year, it's mandatory in Spain that there is a legal procedure called MASC, which is like a mediation or arbitration process. This means the courts in Spain, they are so collapsed that before filling in a lawsuit in the court, you must demonstrate to the Spanish courts that you tried the off-court settlement. How do you demonstrate this? With burofax, certified letters, emails, meetings online or in presence in the law firm or in the office. So this means like, even imagine that the agency in this example, they wouldn't release the funds. And I was like telling my client, okay, we need to start the legal claim because they're not giving the money back. We will need to at least wait 1 month period for the mediation process. In this mediation process, legal fees are involved of the lawyers, of course. We're talking about maybe here in Spain, usually the cost of this mediation process nowadays are between 500 euros and 1,000 euros approx. The cost of the burofax, which we are talking about between 10 euros and 50 euros, depending on the type of letter, and the time schedule. Then if in the mediation, the other party still didn't release the funds, we need to go to the court, prepare the lawsuit, fill it in, and depending in the amount of the value of the claim, if it's above 2,000 euros nowadays, we need a lawyer and a prosecutor. In Spain, it's mandatory, the figure of the prosecutor, which it means it's the person who's going to represent the client. We, the lawyers, we prepare the paperwork and we do the lawsuit, and the prosecutor represents the client in the court and submits all the paperwork. So we are talking about at least another 1,000 euros for the lawyer and maybe another 500, 700 euros for the prosecutor. Once the legal claim is submitted in the court, it can happen that the courts are so collapsed that 2 or 3 months go by and we still do not know if the claim is accepted or not accepted by the court. Once it's accepted, then it can be between 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, we never know. So imagine... Yeah, exactly. Imagine in this case of my client that there were 6,000 euros involved, which, okay, you can say it's not a huge amount. But imagine if it was in the private purchase contract. In the private purchase contract, the amount is 10% of the price. We are talking about already 30,000 euros. If we are talking about 30,000 euros, all the legal fees are going to be increased also. And the time of the legal procedure, it will also take longer. So at the same point, it's like, okay, here it was really clear that the agency must give the money back to the client. But even if we go to the court and the court says, yes, you have to give the money back and the agency is going to pay all the legal fees involved. Still, my client, for example, he must have been waiting for 1 year, 1.5 years for all this process, and maybe he lost the property.
Yeah, that's, I think, will be the biggest loss. Also for the seller is also, if the seller really wants to commit, he's also losing the this value, getting stuck in this transaction, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In this case, the selling party, they were like really friendly and really understanding the situation, and they were waiting for us, because I told them like, look, I'm waiting for the release of the 6,000 euros to make you the new pavement with a new reservation contract, because we want to buy the property. But until the other party doesn't give me the money back, my client cannot pay another 6,000 euros. And the selling party completely understand the situation and they wait for us. But what happens if the other party does not wait for us? We lose the property.
Yeah, and maybe the next one will be more expensive or less desirable, and maybe might be a couple of months without finding like a similar one. So yeah, it's crazy. So it's always it's worth trying to avoid getting to that point, right? Everything that can avoid that will be better. What do you think? I think probably most of the times people realize that after they are starting to have an issue, or they like feel that they are about to have an issue, right? Do you think, like, once these types of solutions get more popular, do you think people will start to adopt, or what do you think should change for this to become more viable? And maybe, do you think there are some laws that need to be changed, or where are the blockers now?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, very interesting question. And unfortunately, I do not have the answer for that question. But what I have been also like, again, I mentioned before, when we had a meeting with Federico and with Robert Dean, we spoke like in the near future, it's difficult that this changes, because the Spanish law says that it's mandatory the figure of a notary and the public title deed to confirm the transaction of the selling of the property. But what happens if in the future, for example, we change that public deed into a small contract, and the small contract goes instantly to the land registry, and in seconds, everything is registered? That will make everything smooth and more transparent and more speed, of course. I truly believe that this is something that is going to come in the near future. I don't know when. The laws of Spain must change. What they don't need to change, for example, in Spain, the contracts, if the contract has an object, a cost, and a price, and there is a mutual agreement, every contract is valid. So this means that the Spanish law nowadays accept the smart contracts. The thing is
that's great to know.
Yeah, the thing is, for example, to register this transaction, the land registry still will ask for all the procedure with the notary. This procedure with the notary nowadays is like fast, because it's much faster than the court. But still, for example, I sent a title deed that we signed in April. I sent it mid-May to the land registry of Ronda in Malaga. 2 weeks has gone by, and I'm still waiting for the invoice of the land registry and for the registration of the land registry. I'm not saying that it's a slow system. It's a very fast system, actually. But with this technology, we can make it more faster and more transparent, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the things we usually talk about, Federico usually mentions, is that probably there are some things that will change when the new generations start to make these transactions. And since you are maybe a digital native, you expect the systems to work a lot faster than before. and start not to accept the way that some of other systems work.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a matter of time also for these times to improve, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why in my investigation I was like more thinking about the early stages of the buying process, which is the thing between the two parties, because that's like I believe in the practice is more doable for the near future. Again, like I say in the investigation, a lot of AML procedures must be checked and controlled. Nowadays in Spain, you can buy a property with the cryptocurrencies, but you need to comply with all the AML procedures, and you must clarify the origin of those cryptocurrencies. So, especially with this new MASC procedure, the Kleros Escrow product, it can help us more in a way, not only because we are using cryptocurrencies instead of, for example, fiat money, but if anything goes wrong in the early stages of the procedure, the mediation process it's going to be more transparent and more efficient than if we as lawyers we need to send a burofax, because if we have here jurors that are impersonally outside the operation and they're giving their decision in a couple of days, everything will go smooth. The registration of the decision in the smart contract is going to be registered, and the court can have like more security that okay, Bob has more right than Alice, for example.
Well, that's great to know. I don't know if you have been following Kleros lately, but we have like a couple of new developments around like adoption like on the legal side of things and also on government entities. So there was a law, actually not a law, like a regulation in Argentina that
For the
recreated the figure
consumer
of the
law,
legal defender,
okay.
the defensor del cliente. So
Yeah, I'm actually in that court. Actually, I'm a
are
juror.
you already in the court? Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't need to explain
Yeah,
to you.
yeah. Thank you.
But yeah.
I have been in 10 cases already involved.
Oh, so you're one of
Yeah.
the top jurors. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Well,
it's,
I wouldn't say top jurors, but yeah, it's something that I'm really looking forward to work with Kleros, and I'm also happy to be in that court because it's something that I worked in the consumer government from Cordoba in Argentina when I was a student,
oh, nice.
so I'm very familiar with consumer law,
Mhm.
and even if we are talking about off court settlements for that. Um, the procedure in the authorities in Argentina and also in Spain is the same. They are going to be at least 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, up to 6 months. And in the court, we are always five jurors, and we give the decision in a 2 or 3 days period after checking all the revenues and also that. So I also believe that this is the near future for the legal system. Like anonymous jurors that are going to submit their opinion based in an autonomous and impartial way after checking all the proofs. That's the way it's going to be in the near future. So yeah, I'm really happy working. It's still really difficult for me because
Mhm.
besides the job that I have in my law firm, usually when I come back at night at 12 or 1 a.m., I get connected and I try to answer the cases. But it's like more like I trust in the technology, and that's why it's
Mhm.
like I'm really motivated to be in that court.
It's the great to have like a juror in being interviewed like that. So well, great to have you. I hope that we can continue talking. I wish that maybe on a couple of months or next year we can have some more updates to share with you and you with us. And of course, whenever you need something, we are open. So thanks a lot.
Perfect.
See you. Great. So, well, really, I'm really surprised that we have a juror in the call. So Now let's go to Parul. We recently we are about to publish the development updates for the month. Let me just share the presentation from Parul here. So 1 second. Hey Parul, how are you doing?
Hey, Jean, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great. So what do you have for today?
So I have prepared a summary of what we have been doing from the development team since January 2026. So it will be a brief summary of 2026 up till May, like now. So yeah, all right, I can go ahead. So yeah, before we deep dive into the month by month progress,
One
let's look
second,
at the
Parul.
over.
1 second, Parul. Let me. I will remove myself from the screen and adjust the things, and then you can start. Okay. Sorry.
Perfect, thanks. All right. So yeah, before we deep dive into the month by month progress, let's look at the overarching themes of 2026 so far. This year has been about solidifying our foundation. Notifications have been completely matured with everything from Code V1 to POH V2 now running on the Atlas backend. Code V2 has been hardened through audits and internal reviews. We also saw Scout reach its definitive form. Foresight transitions from a concept to a live prediction market. We are expanding its bridge coverage, and our Atlas officially becoming our central IPFS hub for file uploads. Moving on to January, yeah, we basically kicked off the year in January. We laid critical groundwork. We shipped Atlas version 1 V1.2.0, which officially brought the Code V1 notification suite live for vote reminders and appeals. For Code V2, we submitted our order responses and merged the new front-end profile pages. For Escrow V2, we got a massive UI upgrade, migrating to Tailwind CSS and whitelisted USDT. On the bridging side, VR's Hashi executor became chain agnostic. Finally, we launched Stake Curate and initiated the PNK airdrop for the first 10,000 humans on Proof of Humanity V2. Moving on, in February, we focused on user experience and infrastructure. The highly requested dark mode went live on Port V1. Port V2 merged the Argentinian consumer protection dispute kit on the contract side. Escrow V2 saw its full production deployment with USDT and USDC support. Our Futaki UI was officially named Kleros Foresight. And for the Scout, we have expanded its reach by adding Mega ETH, Polygon, and Pulse Chain, while also activating a fairer token reward formula. We also integrated dBridge as a second protocol for VR. And then March was all about tracking and live experiments. Atlas rolled out SendGrid delivery status tracking so we can actively monitor all our email notifications. On Code V1 side, we improved clarity by updating reality.eth disputes to display invalid instead of refuse to arbitrate. Foresight launched its first experiment, that was movie experiment. We also added Block Explorer to links to the Escrow V2 timeline for better transparency and merged the VRC package to support Kleros V2. Moving on to April, we scaled our backend. Atlas officially wired up the complex email notifications for Proof of Humanity V2 events. The internal review of the code V2 was completed and moved into triage. On the governor V2 side, we merged a complete Foundry test suite. And for cross-chain, VIA merged its dBridge adapter support and Scout deployed robust item key fallbacks to handle index delaying. And then May was a landmark month for us. Scout hit its definitive version, passing 2.6 million addresses and migrating successfully to Atlas IPFS. Atlas shipped a massive pre-product sign-up refactor, meaning Quote V1, Quote V2, and Foresight now have customized onboarding flows. On POH V2 side, email notifications are now processed end-to-end. We officially launched Kleros. We are officially planning to have Kleros Skills, which will allow AI agents to interact with our protocol. And Foresight is also set to have the second experiment. It's been live on Foresight, the second movie experiment. Yeah, looking at the roadmap ahead, our momentum will continue. For COT V2, we are executing contract simplification, specifically targeting the sortation tree and reward staking mechanism. For Kleros Foresight, we have queuing up a few other experiments, then round 2 of movie experiment. And for VR, we are finalizing the NVO hyperindex based indexer. We will also complete the Atlas pre-product sign-up rollout. And on the governance side, we are drafting the corrected proposal for KIP 87 to get the noses curation code live. Yeah, that's pretty much what we have been doing since last few months of 2026.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Parul. So maybe just to recap a little bit there, I think maybe the product that had the most amount of updates this year so far is the curation.
Yeah, Curate, and I think Atlas too. Atlas been shipping great work since past few months. It's a backend system, but
sorry, my connection. Can you listen to me now? I think I had a problem with my connection.
Yes, you're.
Okay.
I can listen to you.
Yes. So, well, I don't know if he when I got cut, but I was saying that the curation Kleros Scout got lots of updates. I don't know if people remember, but there used to be problems with the subgraphs historically. I would say like for years, and the team has been working on a couple of different solutions with the subgraphs. And now I think I haven't listened to many complaints the last couple of months. So I suppose that it's working a lot better than before. And also, if people have been trying the new interfaces, they are much more polished. You can see that the development has been speeding up as we are adopting more of the AI development tools on the front end. So even the V1 court is loading faster now, having like less issues, like accepting more wallets. For some time, there was some wallets that were not compatible with V1, and all of that, all of these projects, they all use these new backend called Atlas that powers everything, and the notifications, the file storage of IPFS, all of that is handled by Atlas. So there's a lot of work being done on Atlas, but also on adapting each new product to that. And also Kleros Foresight, that is kind of a new one. It's let's say distilled human judgment for decisions. And I actually also like to remind people to participate on this round 2 because it was just launched. I think there's usually some opportunity to earn something from the markets if you are one of the first, so you can kind of help adjust the markets to where it should be. So we got good results with the first round, but we want to get even better results with the second one, avoiding some bias that we think. So Parul wrote a very detailed article about the round one, so definitely recommend anyone interested in prediction markets to check that out. And well, regarding the V2, I think just to make like a quick recap of what the state is and what was going on lately. So we started a review with an external party. I think it was at the end of November last year, and this
Yes,
process, well, last a couple of months, right? I think it was finished around February, and then,
February. Yeah.
yeah, and we started an internal review, and in this internal review, we found some things, possible vulnerabilities, and things that could be improved. So before going to another external review and open bounty, we are fixing that and improving that, so it's easier to find other vulnerabilities. So that's where we are now with the Court V2. And well, one thing I would like to mention because I think there are some questions about this is that well, there are some integrations that now rely on Core V2. For example, the Esparo shared on the slide. Let me put it here. I think yes, here we have the Argentina Consumer Protection Dispute Kit on V2. And this dispute kit actually relies on V2. And for these types of consumer disputes, there's less risk, let's say, of the contract being attacked, since it's like the enforcement of the cases happen off chain. So there's no reason to attack, and like an attacker doesn't gain anything. Cannot affect the results of the dispute because of that. So that's one thing. So the V2 still can get these types of cases that are low value relative to the potential value that other disputes can have, not because they're low value. They're always high value for the person that have the case being disputed, right? But yeah. So thanks, Parul. Anything else that you would like to mention, or that what is the thing that you are most excited about as a DevRel for the next couple of months?
For the next couple of months, I would say Kleros Foresight, because we have a couple of new experiments lined up for the new, like after movie round two. We have been talking to multiple partners for next few rounds, next few experiments. That's the interesting part, which I'm looking forward to. And of course, we are also building AI skills and AI roadmap for Kleros, which is pretty amazing. Like we will officially publish some of our skills and all of that in few coming days. So yeah, that's one amazing thing which we are building with the team. Yeah, these are the two things which I'm really looking forward to, because these are what we have been planning for past few months, and I can say like these we can see live in action in the coming few days.
Yeah, me too. I think one thing that will be pretty cool is like if you can just send the files to your agent and say, okay, I want to make a submission on Kleros Scout and get some PMK as a reward. Then the agent like does all of that, or maybe even people building apps for trying as a proof of concept, maybe just trying Kleros. I think it will be really lower the barrier for that. So I totally agree with you. Well, thanks, Parul. So we have now Lucia. Hope you can join us, Parul, in the next month or so, and give next month's updates too. Well,
Thank
see
you,
you.
Dean.
Hey, Lucia, how are you doing?
Oh, hello. How are you? I'm doing well, thank you.
Doing good. Really happy that we have a juror testimony
Yes, that was
in the
amazing. I
call.
mean, I knew that he was a juror because we have some communications with jurors, and they are very active in the lawyers, and it's crazy, how dedicated they are, because it's true. I mean, they have their jobs and they need to do this as a side job, and maybe work at hours that are, at night. So it's great having his testimony as well, to see how, because I also believe that these jurors that are now, I mean, working at Kleros, they will be in the future the ones that also push other integrations. So I think that's amazing. And yes, regarding today, wait, before I move to today, I don't know, Jean, what did you thought about this testimony? Like, it was
I think
amazing.
it's great. I think we didn't had that before,
Yeah,
and yeah, I do agree that people that participate as jurors, they understand how the system works, and once you understand and you know it is working, it's easier to get
yeah,
to promote to your colleagues or companies or wherever. And we actually are having conversations with some people because of that, right?
for sure, for sure. And also, it's such a coincidence that he also worked for the government sector, so he really fully understands the whole thing. But yeah, regarding today, we don't really have a lot of updates that we can communicate. But I was checking, the last two cases that we had in the with the Junin integration. So maybe I can do like a summary of those cases.
Yes, definitely.
Basically, we've been receiving a lot of cases that are related with cars, like the moment when you buy a car, and many things and many problems and disputes that arise there. And we have the last two cases are specifically related with that industry. And the interesting thing is that one of them was rejected by the jurors. That it's something that we sometimes we see it, but it's not that often. And usually when we talk with companies, or even the government, like, they always think that the cases will always be in favor of the user, but not always happens that. So the first one that I will explain a bit is about case 140, and it's basically about a consumer that signed an agreement to buy and reserve a car, and he paid a deposit for that, but later he asked to cancel the contract and get his money back. And basically he wanted his money back because he said that he has a mental health condition, and he did not fully understood what he was signing, and that he was pressured and misled to sign that specific contract. And on the other hand, the car dealer, he said that the process was very clear from the beginning and voluntary, and it had many steps. It was not just one meeting, but many meetings, and that also the consumer was accompanied by his mother when he signed everything. And basically, the jurors decided to reject the claim, because, I mean, of course you can read it in summary, but you can read the whole case, but as a summary, the jurors, what they said in their arguments is that first, they didn't found any clear evidence regarding a fraud or a pressure to sign that specific contract, and also because they said that a person is considered legally capable unless a court decides otherwise, and that even if you have maybe like a certificate, um, that alone does not mean an incapacity to sign a contract. So basically, they decided to reject the claim, and basically, this consumer did not receive the money
It's,
back from the
it's
deposit.
very interesting. I think it's probably one of the most complex cases that we've got, right?
Of course. Maybe we can, on another call, we can have Facu, give us his perspective on this case. I think it's yeah, as you said, very complex because it's a sensible topic. But even though it's sensible, all of the jurors were like the voting decision was unanimous. Like everyone voted to reject the claim. So yeah, it's very interesting to see these type of cases where the answer is different. And then on the other hand, wait, I don't know if you want to.
No, just wanted to say interesting.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. On the other hand, we have like our last case, the one that was resolved like I think 1 or 2 days ago. It's also about a car, but in this one they did agreed with the consumer. They did accept the claim, and basically it's about a consumer who bought a new car in 2024, and he had a warranty for 36 months. So that's basically more than 2 years, almost, yeah. And basically what happened to him is that the car started having problems after some use. I don't remember exactly the problem. I think it was something with the engine, maybe. Really, I don't remember exactly the problem, but it was like a mechanical problem. And he took the car several times to the, the, how do you say, the car dealership place to see if they could give him a solution. And this problem happened to him where the car was still under the warranty period, and the dealership replaced the it's called the injectors, I think it's called, yeah. The dealership replaced the injector, but still charged the consumer for more than 6 million Argentine pesos. So even though the car was still under warranty and he had a problem with his car, the dealership place, they took care of the problem, but they charged him. And basically the company refused to cover the repair under warranty because they claimed that the problem was caused by using bad quality fuel to charge his car. But they didn't proved any technical proof for this. So basically the decision was to accept the claim of the user. The user was claiming for him to receive back that 6 million Argentine pesos that he paid for getting
The repair, right?
yeah. And yes, basically the jurors concluded that the problem appeared during the warranty period, so they needed to pay this damage that he had in his car. And yes, that's basically it. I mean, two different cases with a very different problem and a different answer, but from the same industry. So that's interesting to see how even though
maybe this is something that the usually goes to Junín and other municipalities, right? So it's interesting. I think we had a couple of those before this too. So maybe it will become kind of a sector of the Kleros cases.
yes.
As automotive court, let's say.
Yes. Usually you see that there are certain industries that it appears that they have more disputes than others. Yeah, maybe because of the product itself. I mean, I don't know why, but usually you see that there are certain industries that appear many times. But also when you see an industry that it's different than, for example, when we received these 2 cases from the construction industry, it was super interesting for us because of course it's something that you don't read every day, at least in the Kleros court. So yes, but those are the 2 cases of this week.
Maybe also something that might have to do with that is that the values involved in these types of disputes are kind of the values that are not high enough that the parties go directly to lawyers. So they try to go
For
to
sure.
other types of solutions. And probably Junin, Junin is probably receiving lots of cases like that. I don't think you talked about like the ratio of customers winning against companies. So looks like
Okay.
on Junin usually we have seen more consumers winning the disputes, but on Lemon we had the opposite, right? I think most of
Yes.
the cases, maybe 90% of the cases, I don't remember exactly, but
Yes,
around
have
that.
I think I have, it's exactly what you said. I don't have the data exactly for Junin. We do have it, but I don't have it here. But with Lemon, I have that 85.3% was won by the company, by Lemon, and then the rest, that it's a 14.7, was won by the users. So Lemon won the majority of the cases. But with Junin, usually, at least for now, we are seeing that usually the consumer wants the claims. But yeah, it's interesting to see both of them.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see when more cases get resolved. Maybe there are some. Also, probably, I'm assuming that the director of consumer defense in Junin
Yes.
probably not route every case to Kleros. So maybe there are some
Sure.
something going on with that, and then eventually. Maybe we will get more complex cases, more cases that go resolved to the consumer in the future.
Yes, totally.
It will be interesting to see. Well,
Yes.
thanks a lot, Lucia. So
Thank you.
hopefully we have more cases to discuss next week.
Yes, hopefully. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Well, bye. Great. So these were the 3 main topics that we had for today. So we'll just mention a couple of things that I think are interesting. We now had a couple of proposals in the DAO and discussions going on in the forum. So if you have the Kleros token, if you are part of the cooperative, or if you're not part of the cooperative, recommend everyone to check those discussions and vote. It's always a good signal to have more people voting on the proposals. Usually they are mostly about the, let's say, creating new courts, changing parameters, but sometimes there are proposals that are more related to, other things in the DAO. And another reminder that we have the Kleros Foresight round 2 that just opened. It's very easy to participate. The team has put a lot of effort to make it make it in a way that lots of transactions are automated with a new wallet format that executes the transactions with a couple of signs. So there's a wallet that is created in parallel to your signing wallet. So it's very easy to participate. It's on Gnosis chain. And another thing is that the juror rewards have been distributed early this week or on the previous week. And we usually had a fluctuation around 10% to 20% APY for jurors staking on both Ethereum or Gnosis chain. So last time I checked, it was around 15%. So if you have PNK, please stake. Otherwise, you are losing these rewards. And I think that's it. We are always discussing in the Telegram chat. So if you're not in the Telegram group, please join us and see you. Bye.